Did you ever think what it would be like traveling along in an open car without a windshield? Boy, you wouldn't go very far before you got all splattered with mud. And you'd have to keep your eyes closed so as not to be blinded by the dust. Well, when you're traveling along in life, Rangers, common sense acts as a pretty important windshield. It lets you see where you're going.
I am the greatest.
Leading with lineage.
California Reparations Task Force hearings.
Final report recommendations.
California Freedmen Affairs Agency, CAFA office.
The Fund for Reparations and Reparative Justice.
Free the land, eminent domain, unjust property taking return.
And then the mass media group was there. Reparations Now, the documentary where it all began.
Released Juneteenth, 2023.
Now listen, if you can't handle the TR rules, don't tune in.
Available to watch on Tubi TV and other streaming outlets. As always, thank you for the support. Please like, share, and subscribe to your number one source for reparations and news. Until next time, peace and reparations. What's up, family? We are back. This is the 24th show / episode, however you want to call it. My name is Umoya.
I am Kim.
And I'm Darlene, and it's been a while, so I'm glad to be here today.
Yes, family, welcome back. Welcome back. I know y'all ain't been here in a minute.
Yeah. When the Cal legislature is on break, so
I'm on break.
So glad to be back in the house. Reparations now.
Reparations now, family. All right, should we get into some housekeeping? reparationsnowdoc.com, reparationsnowdoc.com. You get all access. Check it out right now. The documentary, reparationsnowdoc.com.
The documentary, reparationsnow.com, or Reparations Now, is also streaming on Tubi TV, so you can swing by there and watch it for free.
Go to our merch store at etnmediagroupstore.com. That's etnmediagroupstore.com, where you can get all your merch. Just click on that button. It should be, or link. It should be down in the description of this video.
Also, another way to support the Mass Media Group is to use our Amazon affiliate link when you do all your Amazon shopping. Just click that link before you fill that basket up.
The 1866 Reconstruction Treaties read, we will be continuing this series maybe later on this month or early September, but we're definitely going to be continuing on with this read.
And if you're in California and need to know who your state representative is, you can screenshot this link, this QR code. It takes you to put in your address and figure out who your state legislator is so you can reach out to them and find out how they feel about reparations. Let them know we need their support on our bills that are still moving through the session.
We had a wonderful conversation with Senator Stephen Bradford, representing the 35th District. You can go check that out right here on our YouTube page at Amy and the Mass Media Group. Once again, that's Senator Stephen Bradford.
And also, as you know, to get our bills passed in California, our reparation bills, we need 41 assembly members, 21 senators, and 1 governor to say yes. And as you know, we've already passed out of the assembly floor. We are headed, the Senate floor. Thank you, Kim, for that correction. And we are now headed to the assembly, where we need to pass out a suspense and then pass out of the assembly floor with 41 votes coming up. And the suspension is on the 15th of this month. And then it goes to the governor's desk. So 41, 21, 1 equals California reparations.
Please become a member of this program and this platform to support what we're doing here. So you get the behind the scenes content, get some community conversations, and some educational programs. So for those who have joined, we thank you very much. And if you haven't, please join when you can. Thank you. If you haven't had a chance yet to see the new Black Media and SB 1327, we actually had our good brother Antonio Ray Harvey, who's been instrumental in terms of the journalist side of things with covering the California Reparations Task Force, and he does a phenomenal job throughout the state and locally here in Sacramento, covering not only Black news but news in general. So shout out to our good brother Antonio Ray Harvey.
Can you tell us quickly what AB 886 is? Just one sentence.
AB 886 is basically the companion bill to SB 1327, which, to summarize it, is going to tax the larger media companies, especially the larger tech companies, so they can then support local efforts.
Yes, I've seen a lot of commercials about it, but I wasn't quite sure what it was. So thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, and as Darlene briefly mentioned, the bills that we are tracking, SB 1331, 1403, and 1050, will be in the suspense session on 8/15/24. So that is next Thursday. If you're in the Sacramento area, of course, we want people to come out and support and just, show your support for these reparations bills, letting the Appropriations Committee know that we want these bills to make it out of suspense successfully. So that happens next week, Thursday, 8/15. But we don't have a time yet. So stay tuned for all updates at ETM Media. We will be putting out that information as soon as we know more.
And Kim, will you be there?
I will be there, definitely.
Hey, great.
All right. And then as far as moving to the assembly floor, once we get out of suspense, when being the key word, we get out. It will be moving to the assembly floor. Now it has to be off the assembly floor by 8/31. So this is going to be a very tight 2-week timeline from coming out of the suspense file to getting to the assembly floor and getting voted out of the assembly floor. And once that's done, it will be moving on to the governor's desk.
Yep, tight turnaround, family, tight turnaround.
Very tough.
Will you live stream the suspense hearing for the family at large?
That's what we're planning on doing.
Okay, great.
All right, so stay tuned for all the updates, because as soon as we know, you'll know.
Exactly. All right. Is that it for housekeeping, or is there anything else?
I think that's it for housekeeping, unless we want to just take a look at who we are looking for to pass these bills out of suspense next week on Thursday, the Appropriations Committee. So there they all are again, and it is chaired by Buffy Wicks. I know that CJEC has a call to action out right now to, send Buffy Wicks emails and let her know that we're looking for support getting off of the suspense.
Do you want to put up those call to actions real quick, and then we mention them again later?
Yeah, so there's the Buffy Wicks call to action. You can scan the QR code. I will also just drop a link to CJEC-official website. That's another place where you can go and get this information. Let's see here. There we go. Go to CJEC-official website. And they've been sharing it heavily on social media, such as Twitter, now known as X. And that's also at CJEC Official on X.
And she's down there in the Bay Area, correct?
Yeah, she's in Oakland. I had the privilege of being one of the committee that went down and spoke to her staff director, and we laid out what we thought about these bills. So it was very, very positive meeting with that. So we urged Buffy Wicks, and you know what? 10 or more letters are never enough. Send them as you will.
The more the merrier.
Yeah, she can't hear.
The merrier.
Can't hear from us enough. Yeah, she wants to be on the right side of history. I know she does. So.
All right, so let's help her out and get them letters in. So again, the Appropriations Committee, to send a letter to all of them at once. CJEC has another call to action. You can scan that QR code there, go to the website, or find this information on X at CJEC Official. And this is just a couple of clicks, and you send out a letter showing your support for all three bills to all of the appropriations members. So
yes. And can I just add a side note on the call to actions? I have family members that do not have social media, so don't be, tripped out because they want you to tweet it out or share it on social media or Facebook. That's not, it is important, but the most important thing is to send the letter, even if you don't share it on social media. That's the most important thing.
Share the letter.
Share the letter.
And CJEC makes it so
easy.
Yeah, it is real easy. It is real easy.
There's a family group called the Tavares who has a song that only takes a minute. Well, this only takes seconds to send it out. Send it out. It's so important. Let's stand up for what we know is right.
Yes, so we want as many of these letters as possible sent out prior to the suspense file hearing on Thursday, the 15th, August 15th. So Send away, family.
Send away.
All right, I think you've got some updates for us, Shamoy, regarding this upcoming presidential election.
Is that what they call it? All right, let's play a video. I think we did a little something for the family, so let's play it.
Here with us today, I know we have a number of Native leaders, and as president, I will tell you, I will always honor tribal sovereignty and respect tribal self-determination.
A few days ago, President Trump said he didn't know Vice President Harris was a black woman. I'm trying to figure out what all the outrage is about because she's only black when it's time to get elected.
The biggest crowd I've ever spoken, I've spoken to the biggest crowds. Nobody's spoken to crowds bigger than me. If you look at Martin Luther King, when he did his speech, his great speech, and you look at ours, same real estate, same everything, same number of people, if not, we had more.
In just the last few hours, former President Trump is committing to 3 debates next month on 3 different networks as part of his first public appearance since Vice President Harris announced Minnesota Governor Tim Walz as her running mate. The vice president responding just before getting on Air Force 2 a couple of minutes ago. Watch this.
I was glad that he finally agreed to a debate on September 10th. I'm looking forward to it. And, Are you open to more debates? I am happy to have that conversation about an additional debate for after September 10th.
She can say it, but I'm not allowed to say it. I'm not allowed to say it. And Michaela, I love you, Michaela. I'm in love with Michaela. Please explain that to Melania. Please explain that to our First Lady.
Which includes respecting the voices that I think that we are hearing from. And let me just say this on topic of what I think I'm hearing over there. Let me just speak to that for a moment, and then I'm going to get back to the business at hand. So let me say, I have been clear. Now is the time to get a ceasefire deal and get the hostage deal done.
To pay attention to what has been done. They don't want to talk policy. They just want to use propaganda to steal your vote. The left is trying to tout this woman as a savior for the black community, but all she's done is hurt the black community since she came into the game.
What do you have to say to the American people?
We are not going back. Donald Trump, on the other hand, has been talking a big game about securing our border, but he does not walk the walk. Or as my friend Quavo would say, he does not walk it like he talks it.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, those are some of the updates. Obviously, we can't capture all the action. I was going to say shenanigans, but I don't want to be rude. That's happening right now up in the presidential nominations. That's happening between the Republicans and the Democrats. And for some reason, nobody else is running for president outside of those two. But yeah, so that's it, family. I don't know if you two have anything else to say before we get on the reads, but just wanted to, give the family some updates.
Well, personally, I thought Trump took it too far comparing himself to the I Had a Dream speech. He went too far with that one. My personal opinion. But other than that, I'm just watching it. I'm waiting for it all to play out. It is what it is. I don't like the bullying on either side. You're not shaming me to vote for anyone. I hope everyone just, use their. I stand 10 toes down for anyone that they want to vote for whoever they want to. This is America. You have one vote. And that's just where I stand on it. No bullying, no shaming.
Yep. I don't know, Kim, do you have anything? Or
I mean, I'm kind of like Darlene, just kind of watching it all unfold. I'll tune in if they ever get to the debate stage. But, I'm still waiting for Black agenda policy or some commitment to reparations.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I have yet to hear either one of them, both Trump or Kamala Harris, even remotely talk about what they think or, what they want to do with reparations.
Right. And like Darlene says, it's just basically attacking one another. Even the black woman that Trump had speaking for him at his rally or whatever it was. I mean, she didn't even talk about, she talked about what Kamala hasn't done, but she's not talking about what Trump's gonna do for the Black community. She's just talking about what Kamala hasn't done for the Black community, but not talking about what Trump is gonna do. So, you just gotta, really listen to what they're saying and what they're not saying at the same time.
But they do mention other groups of people, but they just have a problem saying Black Americans who descend.
Right. We saw that
but they can mention everybody else but us. So
we saw that Kamala addressed the indigenous community. And the Palestine conflict. But
she would not address us. Who is her biggest voting bloc? And I just don't appreciate if you want to call them Democratic shares, saying that we're stupid and forget about reparations. And, I don't appreciate that. To me, it's such a turn off, even if I remotely thought I was going to vote for her, you're not making it easy for me, attacking me that way.
Yeah, I wonder, has Kamala Harris updated her website yet?
Do we want to go take a quick check?
Not of yesterday. No, I didn't check it today. She didn't update it yesterday.
Well, that's actually found. Let's go see what.
Let's go see. Maybe some policies popped up overnight.
Well, I did hear her, but check it. But I did hear her say next week she's going to roll out her economic policy plans.
Oh, is she? Okay, good.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, good. I mean, she's been in office for 3.5 years. That should be a no-brainer. I'm just saying.
So this looks like this is her site. No. All right. So let's see. I can't even get around.
Right.
I guess.
You gotta click out of it.
There's another one because I did that too. There's another link that
another donate. All these ways to donate.
Mm-hmm.
Store donate by mail, frequently ask questions, work with us. Let's see.
Well, this is not the link you want. There's another link, Moria, that has the bio of Harris and has the bio of the VP pick. So it's another link. So I got kind of tripped up on that the other day as well. There's one more.
Well, I typed in.
Well, isn't that where it says meet Kamala Harris? Meet.
Okay, that's it. That's it. Meet Harris. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
All right. So click on that, and then it shows her mom.
Shows her mom and her.
All right.
Interesting. Mm-hmm.
Where's her dad?
There's her husband. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. No dad. I mean. Where's Pops at? I'm just saying.
I mean, I haven't actually seen it, but to say they're estranged, but I have not actually seen that in print myself. That's just what I've seen people on social media say, but I actually haven't seen that myself.
Right, and I see some clips circulating where the father says that this pandering act is shameful to their Jamaican heritage. So. Mm-hmm. We'll have to try to find that one day and share it. But he's flat out saying she faking the funk.
Faking the funk. All right. Well, anyway.
Well,
hopefully she'll be getting some policy.
Meet Tim Waltz. Go to him. Let me see what it's. I didn't actually click on that. Yeah.
Meet Governor Tim Waltz. He's out in Minnesota. Is that right?
Minnesota. Mm-hmm.
I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go with that Project 2025 again.
Yeah, nobody's scared of that.
They highlighted it.
We've been living with Project 1619 all our lives, so let's move on.
Right.
Okay, well, you say next week,
anyway.
Policy is promised.
Yeah, well, the economic policy, she said it's going to roll out. She either said next week or within the next 2 weeks. I'm not 100% sure, but it's coming.
All right. Well, keep looking for that. Keep looking.
And the only thing I would say about the governor, if I could just say this real quick about what happened in Minnesota during the George Floyd thing. They're crediting to that he let Minnesota burn during the BLM what they're calling riots. The only thing I don't like about that is that when you say BLM, you're attributing to he as if he's allowing black people to destroy the city, and that's not really what happened. So when people see that, oh, these black people, they're burning down the city, so that's troublesome to me, when they frame it that way. And he didn't do anything. He didn't bring in the National Guard and, let these black people burn down the city. And, so it's not a good look, Mm-mm. Is this his wife right here? Or who is that at the bottom? Is that his wife?
I have no idea.
Mm.
I have to confirm that. This is my first time clicking on it, so yeah.
Mm.
Donald Trump and J.D. Vance see those less fortunate as scapegoats and punchlines for their jokes. We see them as our neighbors.
Oh, maybe she's just a neighbor.
I guess that's a quote from Governor Walz.
Mm-hmm. He's quite a character when he's quite a character when he's on stage. Very animated.
I have yet to see his animated style yet, but
you're in for a
sure
treat.
We'll be able to.
You're in for a treat.
Now, I think the potential vice presidents, don't they also have a debate? They debate each other too, right?
Those two, yeah, Vance and him. Yeah, that'll be interesting. Mm-hmm.
So, all right. Well, let's get to what we all came here for.
Why we are here.
Here in California.
Yes, the three bills that we are tracking. I was actually going to track the other, what they're calling CLVC priority bills, 14, but I actually just didn't have time.
Who has time for that?
Kim, you did put in the comments the link. They do have a tracker there that if our family members would like to go and look at the other bills that the CLBC are tracking, it from the Cal Matters tracking, please do.
Okay, let me put the link, the CJEC link in again, so it's right up at the top.
Yeah, maybe if we have time, we can put a little chart or graph together just to let everybody know the status of all the bills. But
today?
No, not today.
Oh,
in the future sometime.
Oh, okay.
Like today? Not today. Okay. Actually, quite a few of them have made it through the legislative process. So
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Even though some of them, just in my opinion, a lot of people's opinions, aren't really considered reparations and specifically lineage based. But
and these three bills that we are tracking, will have the most impact on our descendant communities.
Yes. So the three bills again are 1050, which would address eminent domain takings, 1331, which would create a funding mechanism, and 1403, which creates the CAFA agency. And today, what are we doing? We've read the bills, we've read them, reread them, read the amendments, and keep reading them. But we're doing something different today. What are we looking at today?
We're actually going to be reading the analysis of the bills. So, if I'm correct, Darlene, this is the analysis from the Appropriations Committee, correct?
Yes, and all three of them, as you would see at the end, the analysis was given by Annika Carson. She is the principal consultant of the Assembly Committee on Appropriations. So her name should, Mm-hmm.
The bottom, Annika Carson.
The bottom. All of them were prepared by her.
All right. So let's get into it. Let's start at the top. All right. Date of hearing, July 2nd, 2024. Assembly Committee on Appropriations, Buffy Wicks is the chair. This is a bill by Senator Stephen Bradford, SB 1050, as amended June 12, 2024. In the Policy Committee, Judiciary, vote 11-0. And urgency, no. State mandated local program, no. Reimbursable, no. Summary. This bill requires the Office of Legal Affairs, quote, office within the California American Freedmen Affairs Agency, also agency, to, upon appropriation by the legislature, review and act on applications from members of the public of the public seeking compensation for land taken by racially motivated eminent domain. Specifically, this bill requires the office, upon appropriation, to accept, review, and investigate applications from any person who claims they are dispossessed owner of property taken because of racially motivated eminent domain. Determine whether an applicant is a dispossessed owner of property taken because of racially motivated eminent domain, dispossessed owner. If the office determines an applicant has established that they are a dispossessed owner, the office must determine the present day market value of the property and determine whether issuing property or compensation would redress past acts of racial discrimination and serve the public interest. Establishes a process through which an applicant may appeal if the office determines the applicant is not a dispossessed owner. Authorizes a dispossessed owner who is entitled to compensation as determined by the office whose claim is rejected by the state or local agency that took the property by racially motivated eminent domain to file an action in court to challenge the taking or the amount of compensation under the relevant provisions of the eminent domain law. Specifies that nothing in this bill is to be a basis for disturbing or invalidating the title to any property taken by racially motivated eminent domain other than through the procedures provided for in the bill. Subjects every finding, decision, determination, or other official act of the agency to judicial review in accordance with law. Exempts the agency from an existing law that prohibits state agencies from employing in-house counsel to act on behalf of the agency or its employees in judicial or administrative adjudicative proceedings. Fiscal effect. Costs, pressures, general fund to fund the agency to process, investigate, and make recommendations on claims of racially motivated eminent domain. Actual costs will depend on the number of claims submitted and level of staffing needed to handle the claims. Costs may be higher in the short term, possibly in the low millions of dollars annually, with costs potentially tapering off over time once historical claims are resolved. Costs. Local funds, general fund of an unknown but likely significant amount to state and local government entities to compensate dispossessed owners. Actual costs will depend on the number of claims substantiated by the agency, whether the courts affirm the agency's determinations, and the value of real property or monetary compensation ultimately awarded. State and local government entities will likely also incur significant workload costs in litigating cases alleging racially motivated eminent domain and transferring real property or other compensation to dispossessed owners. Total costs may be in the tens of millions to hundreds of millions of dollars. General fund costs will depend on whether the duties imposed on local governments by this bill constitute a reimbursable state mandate as determined by the Commission on State Mandates. Costs. Trial court trust fund, general fund of an unknown but potentially significant amount to the courts to adjudicate claims for compensation based on racially motivated eminent domain that are rejected by local government entities. Actual costs to the courts will depend on the number of cases filed and the amount of time needed to adjudicate each case. It generally costs approximately $1,000 to operate a courtroom for 1 hour. Although courts are not funded on the basis of workload, increased pressure on the trial court trust fund may create a need for increased funding for courts from the general fund. The governor's 2024 to 2025 budget proposes $83.1 million ongoing from the fund to backfill declining revenue to the trial court trust fund. Costs: general fund of an unknown but potentially significant amount for the agency's in-house counsel to act on behalf of the agency in judicial and administrative adjudicative proceedings. It is not clear what role the agency would have in litigation regarding racially motivated eminent domain, since the bill authorizes a private right of action for such claims. But to the extent this bill permits the agency to participate directly in judicial and administrative proceedings, it will likely result in direct costs to the agency to staff its office with in-house counsel. Actual costs will depend on the nature of future proceedings involving the agency and the amount of workload those proceedings generate for the agency. According to the Legislative Analysis Office, the general fund faces a structural deficit in the tens of billions of dollars over the next several years. Comments: purpose according to the author. During my 2 years serving on the California Reparations Task Force, my colleagues and I documented the racially motivated takings of property across California. This was often done through the official use of eminent domain. SB 1050 will provide a broad pathway to justice for others harmed by such racist policies and practices of the distant and recent past. Many Californians were denied the opportunity to prosper and build generational wealth as a result of racial bias. In California, government officials abused the power of eminent domain by using it to destroy homes and move people off their land. This occurred in many areas of California. One example documented in the task force was the construction of the Century Freeway in Los Angeles in 1968, which disproportionately dislocated 3,550 mostly African-American families and 117 businesses. The people who suffered these harms deserve to be compensated fairly for this. Background: Reparations Task Force, AB 3121, Weber, Chapter 319, Statutes of 2020 established the task force to study and develop reparation proposals for African Americans, with a special consideration for African Americans who are descendants of persons enslaved in the United States. Task force to explore options for providing reparations to African Americans, and particularly the descendants of enslaved persons, in recognition of California's role in slavery and the post-abolition perpetuation of racist institutions. In June 2023, the task force issued its final report to the legislature. The report includes detailed information about the horrors of slavery, the ongoing harms experienced by African Americans as a result of slavery, and the task force reparations proposals. The task force reparations proposals include a number of specific policy recommendations that relate to racial terror, political disenfranchisement, separate and unequal education, and racism, environment, and infrastructure, among other topics. The author of SB 1050 has 2 additional bills on this topic pending in this committee. SB 1403 Bradford establishes the California American Freedmen Affairs Agency for the purpose of implementing reparations proposals. SB 1331 Bradford establishes the Fund for Reparations and Reparative Justice in the State Treasury to fund policies enacted on behalf of the descendants of enslaved African Americans, and other task force recommendations. Racially motivated eminent domain. Eminent domain is a legal theory that permits the government to take ownership of privately owned property for use for a public purpose. According to the task force final report, California governments have used eminent domain to take land from African American owners at a disproportionate rate, with devastating impacts to their communities. California built its cities over the bones of the African American neighborhoods that it tore apart through eminent domain, building the highways, cities, and parks that have enabled the state of California to become the 4th or 5th largest economy in the world. The unjust taking of land did more than just seize property. It destroyed communities and forced African Americans out of their historical neighborhoods. At its peak in 1980, 7.7% of the population in California was African American. By 2020, that number dropped to about 5%. 2018 alone, 75,000 Black Americans left the state. The state's more expensive coastal cities alone have shed 275,000 Black residents. This bill requires the office to investigate claims of racially motivated eminent domain and to recommend methods of compensation for claims substantiated by the office. The bill establishes a process by which an applicant may contest the office's determination that their claim does not constitute a racially motivated eminent domain taking, and permits an applicant to file an action in court if their claim was substantiated by the office but rejected by the government entity that took their property via eminent domain. Announced prepared by Anika Carlson.
It's Annika.
That was SB. It's Annika?
Annika. Mm-hmm.
Annika, okay. Mm-hmm. Annika Carlson.
Yeah, this is thank you, Umoya, for that. This is amazing. I could see it going into the millions, billions, because if our family has documentation, that they were ousted out of their community, and my community alone was an addition, tons, not only businesses, family homes, and then they wonder why, when Big Mama dies, they sell the house because they don't have any money, which is a sad state of affairs. So if you sold Big Mama's house, this doesn't apply to you. We know our family needs money, but this is a sad state of affairs, and the fact that so many of our family members have left the state, left San Francisco, is just, sad state of affairs.
Yeah, I mean, definitely in addition to cash reparations, compensation, land theft, and in particularly homes for Black Americans in all across the country. But I know we're focused right here on California. Even if I recall, I think even my great aunt, may she rest in peace, was involved in eminent domain herself. So here in Sacramento, so it's just quite interesting, how these bills are going through, and I just didn't realize actually how long this analysis was.
You did a great job.
Thank you. But yeah, I was like reading. I was like, man, this
is it over?
Why am I?
Yeah, this one is going to cost a pretty penny. But if you do the crime, do the time.
Yeah, do the time. Gotta
do the
pay.
time. You gotta pay.
Right. And I noticed that, it appears, at least from the language, that they are, leaning more towards monetary compensation for properties taken, because they did say, don't gotta worry about, your house being taken away or your title. I mean, there's not going to be any of that. So it is going to cost a pretty penny if they're paying these victims out at market rate values today.
Yeah. Well, because you already have people living in that said area, like you said, Kim. So you're not going to unhouse someone else to move another family in. That's not what's going to happen.
Right. And a lot of it was, infrastructure. They built infrastructure, the highways. I mean, there's nothing we can do about that now. I mean, when we think of the Daniel Blue and what could potentially be land that was seized from him by eminent domain here in Sacramento. I mean, Umoya, that property down there where they have the where they have the placard.
That's all like government buildings down
right
there.
That's all government buildings. It's like we just came from the federal courthouse. Do you think they're going to give this back? No. And you saw what the federal courthouse looked like, so I don't think that's going anywhere.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. In addition, they did mention the possibility of these courts being quite busy.
Oh my gosh! So but look at that price tag. Look at that price tag.
Yeah, so
$1,000 to operate a courtroom for an hour. Oh my goodness.
Wow. But it looks like, there's 83.1 million dollars that's been allocated to the trial court trust fund. So, hopefully that'll help them do their work in an expedient manner.
Yeah, because if you let it linger on, it's just going to cost you more. Just like with cash reparations, where it's lingering on, so it's going to cost you more.
Right.
And
we know that this bill is not lineage based. It's not a lineage based bill, but they do focus on Black and African American. Definitely the focus demographic.
Isn't there some terminology in here that speaks of racial motivated taking?
It's right here. Yeah, he just scrolled up.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I mean,
Racially motivated.
Yeah.
So do you think that is helping this bill? I mean, this bill did get bipartisan support on the Senate floor when it moved off the Senate floor because it is more of a all lives matter, not race-based.
Well, Kim, if you remember when we were there during this Senate floor hearing, this bill was read by Senator Smallwood Kravis. She did use the term Black and brown. She did use that term, so that may be I don't agree with that term, but that she used it, not me. Maybe, so I don't know. We have to see how that works, and then the issue is like if it, this bill tells SB 1403, which is the CAFA office, to do something. So if you're not a descendant, you could also use the CAFA agency.
That's what it basically is
sounding
alluding to.
like.
It says this bill requires the Office of Legal Affairs within the California American Freedmen Affairs Agency to, upon appropriation by the legislature, review and act on applications for members of the public seeking compensation for land taken by racially motivated eminent domain. So there you go.
There you go. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for that.
Moya, what a great read. Moya, God, you are the man.
Yeah, I'm just trying to follow y'all's footsteps. All right, I think who's up next?
I believe I am.
31, 13,
I am.
All right, Miss Darling.
Okay. Excuse me. Okay, the date of hearing is July 2nd, 2024. This is SB 1331. Assembly Committee on Appropriations, Buffy Woods Chair. SB 1331 was introduced by Senator Stephen Bradford as amended as of May 16, 2024. Policy Committee Judiciary, the vote was 9-3. Urgency, no. State mandated local program, no. Reimbursable, no. Summary. This bill established within the state treasury the Fund for Reparations and Reparative Justice Fund for the purpose of funding policies approved by the legislature and governor that address the harm that California has caused to descendants of an African American chattel enslaved person in the United States or descendants of a free Black person living in the United States prior to the end of the 19th century. The bill specifies the fund may receive monies from any federal, state, or local grant or from any private donation or grant. Fiscal effect, cost pressure, quote, general funds, special funds, end quote, of an unknown but significant amount to transfer monies into the fund to support reparations proposal enacted by the legislature. The fiscal needs of the fund will depend on the number of reparations proposals passed by the legislature, the resources needed to implement the proposals, and other fund sources, if any, for the proposals. According to the Legislative Analysis Office, the general fund faces a structural deficit in the tens of billions of dollars over the next several fiscal years. Comments. 1. Purpose. According to the author, who we know is Senator Stephen Bradford. When slavery ended in this country in 1863, a promise was made, a promise of land that was never paid. SB 1331 establishes a fund, the Fund for Reparations and Reparative Justice, that would be available to begin paying the debt. People might say, why California? California was a free state. It was a free state in name only. California practiced everything that a slave state did. People may also say, I didn't know slaves. Why should I have to pay? I say to them, if you can inherit generational wealth, then you can inherit generational debt. Reparations are a debt owed to descendants of slavery. They are not a gift. They are not a handout or charity. They are what was promised, owed, and overdue. 2. Background. AB 3121 Weber, Chapter 319, Statutes of 2020 establishes the task force to study and develop reparation proposals for African Americans, with a special consideration for African Americans who are descendants of persons enslaved in the United States, quote, task force, end quote, to explore options of providing reparations to African Americans, and particularly the descendants of enslaved persons, in recognition of California's role in slavery and the post-abolition preparation of racist institutions. In June 2023, the task force issued its final report to the legislature. The report includes detailed information about the horrors of slavery, the ongoing harms experienced by African Americans as the result of slavery, and the task force reparations proposals. The task force reparations proposals include a number of specific policy recommendations that relate to racial terror, political disenfranchisement, separate and unequal education, and racism in environment and infrastructure, among other topics. This bill establishes the fund, which may receive monies from government or private sources in order to finance reparation policies enacted by the legislature. 3. Related legislation. SB 1050, again, Senator Bradford, requires the California American Freedmen Agency to collect and investigate claims of racially motivated eminent domain and to distribute, upon appropriation by the legislature, just compensation to the rightful owner of affected property. SB 1050 is pending in this committee. SB 1403, again, Senator Bradford, establishes the California American Freedmen Agency for the purpose of implementing reparations proposals. SB 14 is pending in this committee. Analysis was prepared by Annika Carlson. Okay, that's it. Any comments?
All right. Let's actually go back up here. Let me see. There is something that I wanted to say.
Well, since we're right here, urgency, no. I would disagree. This is urgency, yes.
Yes.
High priority.
I think, okay, so this is what I wanted to talk about, which I think is important. I'm sure we've talked about this before, but I wanted to really reiterate this line here where it says chattel enslaved person in the United States or descendants of a free black person. And this thing we have to understand, I mean, first of all, the majority of our ancestors were enslaved, but at the same time, there were free black people at one point during the time before the Reconstruction era, quote unquote emancipation. However, I mean, we also know that black free, quote unquote, free black person could easily get enslaved too as well during that time. Either get back into slavery, or if they were, born free, they could actually get put back in slavery. So I just wanted to reiterate and note why that actual line is important as well.
And also, can we state also, since you're bringing up this free black person living in the United States prior to the end of the 19th century, they had no rights. They barely had political rights. They were segregated during the Jim Crow. I mean, so they were clearly, we say second-class citizens, but we know they were hardly citizens at all during that time period.
So it was kind of basically all I had to say about this one. I mean,
well, also okay, can you go back up? I think that When slavery ended in this country in 1863, we were still fighting the Civil War.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's, you know. Mhm.
So, yeah.
So that, yeah. Mm-hmm.
That part.
That part.
Yeah, I mean, this is pretty straightforward. Obviously, it's pending right now, as well as the other bills that were. Yeah, in this one, I'm actually quite. Oh, they did mention it. Okay, so they did mention SB 1403 and 1050. Okay, so they did. All right, cool.
And also, family, when you go to that link that Kim provided, and you look at the bills under the Cal Matters tracker, if I'm not mistaken, Yumori and Kim, this is the only bill that Bradford still stands alone as the author. The other two bills, SB 1050 and which Kim. And SB 1403, which Kim would read, they actually have co-authors and support for it, but this particular one does not. I find that interesting.
Lone Ranger.
Yeah, the Lone Ranger. And hopefully that would change by the suspense hearing Thursday. I don't know. Can they add by then? Do you know, Kim? Can they add co-authors and support before the suspense?
That's a good question. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's a good question. I know as far as what we've been covering so far, most of the co-authors have happened prior to the suspense hearings.
Right. I mean, is that going to make it an official amendment that's going to have to be, agreed upon, or so? I don't know.
I hope not an official amendment, because that possibly can take it back. Possibly, but if you're not changing anything and you just want to add yourself as a co-author and a supporter, but again, I don't know.
That's a good question. I'm gonna,
but I don't
make
know.
a note and look into it.
Yeah, I don't know if that can, I mean, you learn something every day, family. As we go through this, every day there's something to ask and inquire about.
Right. So 1331, it just creates the funding mechanism. I mean, they did amend out the part where the 6% allocation was going to be put in. So right now, as it is, it's just a funding mechanism. I don't see why anyone would have a problem with that.
And the fact that you can have donations from the state, federal, local, and private. So what's the problem? I don't see any.
Yep.
All right. So that is 1331, and we're going on to 1403. Data hearing July 2nd, 2024. Assembly Committee on Appropriations, Buffy Wicks Chair. SB 1403 Bradford as amended May 16, 2024. Policy Committee, Judiciary, vote 9-3. Again, with the urgency, no, but we know that this is a very urgent matter. State mandated, local program, no. Reimbursable, no. Summary. This bill creates the California American Freedmen Affairs Agency for the purpose of implementing recommendations made by the task force to study and develop reparations proposals for African Americans, with a special consideration for African Americans who are descendants of persons enslaved in the United States. Task force. Specifically, this bill, 1, specifies the agency will be under the control of a secretary appointed by the governor and confirmed by the Senate. 2, requires the agency to include a genealogy office to support potential reparations claimants by establishing a process for conducting or verifying genealogical research to confirm reparations eligibility and to provide expedited assistance with reparations claim process. B, an Office of Legal Affairs to provide legal advice, counsel, and services to the agency and its officials, and to ensure that the agency's programs are administered in accordance with applicable legislative authority, and to advise the head of the agency on related matters. 3, requires the agency to oversee and monitor existing state agencies and departments tasked with engaging in direct implementation of the policies that fall within the scope of the existing state agencies and departments' authority, including policies related to reparations. Fiscal effect. Cost, general fund, of an unknown but significant amount to establish and operate the agency, likely in low millions of dollars annually. Annual costs will include, at a minimum, staffing, operating expenses, and office space. The scope and size of the agency is unknown, and actual costs will depend on the number of requirements of the reparations proposals passed by the legislature, the amount and type of staffing needed to implement and oversee those proposals, the level of coordination needed with existing agencies, and the level of service that the agency must provide to the public, among other factors. GovOp anticipates costs of approximately $3 million to $5 million annually to operate the agency. According to the Legislative Analyst's Office, the general fund faces a structural deficit in the tens of billions of dollars over the next several fiscal years. Comments. 1. Purpose. According to the author, which we know is Senator Stephen Bradford, this bill is foundational to California's successful implementation of Reparations Task Force final recommendations. The creation of a state-level agency is one of the task force key recommendations and essential in administering policies that do not fit into an already existing department or agency. 2. Background. AB 3121, Weber, Chapter 319, Statutes of 2020, established the task force to explore options for providing reparations to African Americans and particularly the descendants of enslaved persons in recognition of California's role in slavery and the post-abolition perpetuation of racist institutions. In June 2023, the task force issued its final report to the legislature. The report includes detailed information about the horrors of slavery, the ongoing harms experienced by African Americans as a result of slavery, and the task force's reparations proposals. The task force reparations proposals include a number of specific policy recommendations that relate to racial terror, political disenfranchisement, separate and unequal education, and racism in environment and infrastructure, among other topics. Among its recommendations, the task force advocated establishing a new state agency dedicated to implementing reparations proposals passed by the legislature to overseeing other state entities' reparation efforts. This bill effectuates that recommendation, establishing the agency and specifying 2 offices that must exist within the agency. 3. Related legislation. SB 1050 Bradford requires the agency to collect and investigate claims of racially motivated eminent domain and to distribute, upon appropriation by the legislature, just compensation to rightful owner of affected property. SB 1050 is pending in this committee. SB 1331 Bradford establishes the Fund for Reparations and Reparative Justice in the state treasury to fund policies enacted on behalf of the descendants of enslaved African Americans and other task force recommendations. SB 1331 is pending in this committee. Analysis prepared by Annika Carlson. And there's her number if you want to give her a call.
Thank you, Kim.
Thanks for that, Kim. And thanks, Darlene, for reading these 3 bills. One thing that I would like to say that's very interesting, I didn't see any of the other, 14 priority bills outside of 1050 I guess they recently added this one too, right? 1403.
They did. You're correct. Mm-hmm.
Okay. How any of those bills don't have any related legislation bills are related to SB 1050 and 1331 and 1403. It's just something that I noticed.
Okay, can you repeat that? I'm not quite sure I understand what you mean by that, Umoya.
So yeah, well, in this part here, it says 3. It says related legislation, and it mentions SB 1050 and SB 1331. So I'm just
none
curious.
of the other 14
yeah.
ones?
Don't have
I
any.
mean, well, let's pick
related.
Bill, the Crown Act extension. What's the CAPA office going to do about it?
I don't know. I'm just making an observation.
What you want from me?
I know, right? So, I mean, it's just kind of interesting how these 3 bills are related, but none of the other bills, for some reason, aren't related with these 3 bills.
And if you think about it, Umoya, and Kim, also the apology bill that was put forth by Assembly Member.
That could be related, huh? Yeah,
it could be related because if you read Chapter 16 of the Task Force final report, it says that the apology must also hold information sessions allowing the descendants to talk about it and give their comments on it and how it relates to SB 1403. But, in his apology, in his apology bill, he does not mention that.
That's probably why it's not mentioned here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But it is a recommendation from the Reparations Task Force, and none of these bills, if we can go up when they say that, right there, Task Force Reparation Proposal, right there, stop that. Task Force Reparation Proposals include a number of specific policy recommendations that relate to racial terror, political disenfranchisement, separating and unequal education, racism, and environmental and infrastructure, among other topics. Well, I'm sorry. Also, Chapter 17 recommends compensation. That is not mentioned right here, which we are concerned about. So it does not even mention the cash component here as well.
Like I said, the analyst number is right there at the bottom of the sheet. Why don't you call her and tell her about it, Darlene?
I just may do that. Because they also the task force recommend that the elders be prioritized. So, just call me Elder Cremedy for the compensation piece. Elder Cremedy in the house. Yes.
Okay, so it might also be worth mentioning that the state of California has already allocated $12 million for the upcoming budget for recommendation implementation. So when we look at the price tag on analysis for this bill, it was between $3 and $5 million. So the $12 million allocation is certainly enough to get things started.
Yes. And we have to make sure that our assembly members and senators request funding every year. Mm-hmm.
All righty. Should we go to some of the call to actions and then get through some of these comments, and then I guess we'll wrap it up from there?
Yeah. Let's do it. All right, so those are the analysis for the 3 bills that are up on the suspense floor next Thursday, August 15th.
And if you are in the Sacramento area, please feel free to drop by.
Absolutely.
All right, you want to put up those call to actions again?
Oops. That's not what I meant to put up. I meant to put up this one, SB 1331, 1403, and 1050. Again, that is taking place, the suspense session, on 8/15/2024, next Thursday. So if you are in town, we would love to see you come down we've got these call to actions going out to the chair, Buffy Wicks, letting her know that we support these 3 bills. Again, 1050, 1331, and 1403. And you can send that same support to all of the Appropriations Committee with just a click of a few buttons. So those are the CJEC calls to action. And you can swing by CJEC's Twitter, formerly known, or X, formerly known as Twitter page, at CJEC Official, or again, I will just go ahead and drop a link to the website in the chat. So maybe we can put that up for people to see.
And again, family, just fire these calls to action at will.
Fire them off. Fire them off. All right. So there's that. All right. And we have another call to action that we want to tell you about. It's a little unrelated from the California legislature, but the OMB has, which is the Office of Management and Budget. So we're switching to our federal lens. They have a call to action looking for comments on race and ethnicity. I know that many of us did this in 2023. They were asking for statements from the public, and also last year they were looking for the public to make presentations, which ETM did make a presentation, a virtual presentation on the subject of disaggregation and creating a special category for descendants. So there's another call to action open. They're looking for a little bit more information, want to see what people are still saying about this. So if you can see the link right there, and I'll also drop that in the chat when I get a moment, but regulations.gov, you can swing by there. There is still time to put in your comment. Only 1 day left. The comments will be ending on August 12th, which is tomorrow. So you want to get them in today or tomorrow at the very latest if you want your voice to be heard. Right now, it gives us a snapshot of how many comments have been submitted. In this go around, it says 74. So I think we can do a lot better than that. So hopefully people will get their comments in about disaggregating the data federally, like we are doing at the state level here in California. So once you go to this link, you have an option to click on the comment button. I added these little arrows just to give you a visual cue, but I'll show you what that page looks like. So on the comments page, you click, you go to the comments. There's also a link for that. Again, comments are due by August 12th, which is tomorrow at 11:59 p.m. PDT, which is Eastern Daylight Time, which is basically Eastern Standard Time. So I don't know why they listed it that way. But so you go in, you can type your comments, you can upload documents. It asks you if you're submitting as an organization or an individual. In the case of the one that we're submitting for ETM, we will click the organization box and let them know that we are submitting our comments on behalf of even the mass media group to disaggregate descendant data. All right, so there's that call to action there. And yeah, I'll go ahead and drop those links.
All right, so can we bring up George Jackson, please? Thank you. So for those that don't know, this month is known as Black August. And Black August is basically an homage or a tribute to our freedom fighters and activists, both who have transitioned and now our ancestors, and also for those who are still living and in the fight for justice here in the United States. So if you don't know about George Jackson, here's just a little information about a good brother, George Jackson. George Lester Jackson, born September 23rd, 1941, transitioned August 21st, 1971, was an American author, activist, and inmate. While serving an indeterminate sentence for stealing $70 from a gas station in 1961, Jackson became involved in revolutionary activity and co-founded the Black Guerrilla family. In 1970, he's one of the 3 prisoners known as Soledad Brothers, charged with the unaliving of correctional officer John Vincent Mills in the aftermath of a prison fight. The same year, he published Soledad Brother, The Prison Letters of George Jackson, a combination of autobiography and manifesto addressed to an African-American audience. The book became a bestseller and earned Jackson personal fame. All right. Darlene, I know, did you want to mention also his brother as well?
Yes, his brother was Jonathan Jackson, who actually worked with Angela Davis at that time period, and 2 others to do a rescue of his brother. And he was also killed that day, the same day that George Jackson was also murdered in an escape attempt. And it says here in which 3 prison guards and 2 inmates were killed. And he never went to trial because they murdered him. But also his younger brother, Jonathan Jackson, was murdered that day as well.
All right. So we just wanted to, give some context, because I know some people may not know about what the idea behind Black August is. But, just wanted to give everybody that information. If there's anything else, I'd like to go to the comments.
One other thing, I would just encourage everyone to pick up his book, Soledad Brothers. Very interesting. A lot of people have thought that, and that could have been read as such, that it was a love thing going on between him and Angela Davis. Yeah. But it was not. It was just, brother to sister. It was not a love thing going on. So I just encourage everyone to pick up that book if you have not. It's a great read.
All right. Hey fam, what's up? All right. From Jayla, I believe. How can I get personal reparations? I found out Obama's family enslaved my Black family in Kentucky. I have the paperwork. Don't know about that. You'll probably have to reach out to an attorney about that if you're looking to seek personal reparations. As far as legislation, that's really eligible in community-based eligibility requirements, both in the state and eventually on federal. I know currently HR 40, which has been in existence for 30-something odd years, is just trying to establish a committee or quote-unquote task force to study reparations here in the United States. So I don't know, Kim and Darlene, if you have any other comments on this, but that's all.
Well, if Jayla is a resident of California, this is where SB 1403 comes in. Once it passes out, a suspense passes out before it gets signed by the governor, the CAFA office, this is where you would take that information to.
Right.
Not sure if the person is a California resident.
Yeah, he mentions family in Kentucky, so I don't think they have anything going on in Kentucky right now.
No, but if he's in California, it would work for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one, him or her, but this one says Kentucky. So,
well, I mean, just the free person of who, if your person was a free person of a free person was a Black free person before the 1900s. Well, my free person was in Louisiana, but I'm here in California. So,
and Jayla, I highly encourage if you don't have any legislation on a local or, more importantly, state level out there, then reach out to your legislator. Tell them to start some legislation, reparations legislation out there.
Right. Send the information to Trump and Kamala. See if either one of them got an answer for you.
Good suggestion. All right, what's up, Royal Bloodline? What's up, family? Much love to the family. One love. Definitely one love, family. All right, so once again, go to cjec-official.org to find out more information on what's happening here in California, as well as like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube page. There's some information regarding the OMB, so you can check it out there regarding race and ethnicity. And there's some more information. So yeah, family.
Yeah, no, but in regard to Jayla's comment, so there have been precedents set where people have sued over, well, I guess that might have been over personal enslavement, not the actual descendants. I'm thinking that, yeah, probably is going to have to be some kind of a legal case. Since we don't have anything at the federal level, and I don't know what's going on in Kentucky as far as legislation on reparations.
Yeah. So, but Godspeed, good luck. I hope you decide to pursue that, and might be able to make history.
And also, if Jayla is in Kentucky, always use task force project report as a blueprint. Let's not keep reinventing the wheel, because we do not want them to continue to kick the can down the road.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Darlene, can you say that one more time, please? You kind of, it's a little hard to hear you.
Well, I was just saying that if Jayla is in Kentucky, that they can use the California Reparations Task Force final report as a blueprint. So Kentucky, if you are in Kentucky, they do not have to continue to kick the can down the road. We already have a blueprint.
Absolutely. What's up, our good brother Antonio Ray Harvey? What's up, family? Hope all's well with you, brother. Thanks for coming through as usual. Yeah, doing great work, man. Doing great work, brother. So on that note, that's about it. Is there anything else, family, that y'all want to say, or we ready to wrap this thing up? I guess that's the silence is we're ready to wrap this thing up. All right. All right, family. Well, thank you as usual for coming through. Go to those calls of actions. Please reach out to the legislator, in particular, Chair Buffy Wicks with the Appropriations Committee. Let her know to support these bills, because we need to get these bills through the Appropriations Committee so we can get it on the floor so it can be voted on, then to the governor's desk. So it's not over. It's not over. So we still have a ways to go. But definitely like, share, and subscribe, because we not only plan on being in the building physically, but we do plan on live streaming it. So whatever support you can give, we greatly appreciate it, family. And
yes, and get those OMB letters in. Tomorrow is the deadline. So, I mean, if you have anything to say on disaggregation efforts at the state level, currently the U.S. Census, the box to identify as Black, it's Black or African American. That's your choice, and we want a distinct box for descendants to recognize descendants. So if you would like the same, put in your comments to the OMB. By tomorrow.
By tomorrow. All right, family. On that note, everybody have a wonderful Sunday wherever you're at in the nation or the world internationally. We appreciate you too. Have a great one. Be safe. Protect you and your family at all costs and at all times. We'll see you next time. Love, peace, and reparations.
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 Black August. 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 Black August.
On this month, we have the rise of the Phoenix, George Jackson. From the day that we landed from Arthur Ashe, when the Wimbledon game birthed the Henrietta Lacks. Second, J Baldwin born with the fire next time, 1964 Jersey race stroker is